Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time to spend with us. I'm joined this week by Kira Paterson. Kira, good to have you in.
Yeah, good to be here.
News reporter with the Banner Press. More or less, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. And most likely you're not paying attention to either one of us for the most part right now. You're not making eye contact. You're making eye contact on these beautiful looking new sweaters for Neepawa's Junior A hockey team. And that is the front page story. Thank you, Vanna. For this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner Press, right on the front page as well. Headline, a name Neepawa can be proud of. The former Neepawa natives have changed names, they've changed branding completely. And as you can see, this is the white jersey, the home jersey for the new Neepawa Titans. And I am very fortunate, I'm very much and very happy to be modeling the road jersey for the Neepawa Titans. Now, as you can see here, the new logo, new primary logo, new name, new color scheme, and this is unbelievable. Maybe it's not doing justice on your televisions, but up close and personal, seeing it with your own eyes, both these jerseys are just out of this world. And I'm a jersey guy. I collect hockey jerseys. I like unique jerseys and rare jerseys. So my closet's full of a bunch of them. So I've already bought one of the screen printed ones that you can buy from the merchandise store. And when and if the day comes where they'll be selling off one of these ones, I'll be definitely doing the best I can to put in a bid for one of these ones as well. So it's really something that a lot of people are excited about. And it's something that's maybe overdue. Well, Kira, what's your take, although? First off, just fashion-wise, what do you think about these new kits?
I like them. They look really good. I love the design, like the stripes and the logo. I love the colors. I'm a big fan of yellow, so I was really excited about that. I think it looks really cool, and I would definitely wear one of these if it wasn't like could fit 4 of me in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the reason we have it sort of centered on here. The original plan was Kira was going to get to wear one as well, but you know, these are built for the athletes who are large to begin with, and then all the equipment, exactly. Yeah. So Kira would be lost in the jersey.
You wouldn't be able to see me, I don't think.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm a big guy, 6 foot, 212 pounds, and even myself, as you can see, I'm sort of swimming in this jersey a little bit. So, you know, it really comes across quite well, though. Just the way that it was put together. Mm-hmm. We have a full story on it, the reasoning behind some of the choices they made, with the color scheme, with the branding, the whole thing. So this is a very expansive sort of review of what they decided on with this. And what's nice about this as well, Kira, is the online chatter on it has been almost 95% positive. It's all been, wow, this is sharp. This is really something. Yeah.
I think that the only negative stuff there was from the people that didn't want to change at all. Like everybody who was looking forward to seeing the new name, I think they were excited by this. I don't think that anybody who wanted a new name was disappointed by this new name and this new logo and stuff. I think it was really positive from everybody who was looking forward to seeing what it would be.
Like, again, not that my opinion matters in this grand scheme of things, but if I were to review it, let's turn this into a review show. The name, when I first heard it, I thought it was a little sort of generic, so I gave that about a 5 out of 10. The white jersey, when I saw it on pictures, I gave it about an 8 out of 10. And the road jersey, I gave a 10 out of 10. But now that I see the white jersey up close like this, I got to give them both 10s out of 10. Both of these things just jump out at you. They're just so amazing. And hopefully, as well, it'll spark some people who maybe stepped away from supporting the team, stepped away from supporting hockey, maybe to come back, maybe to support them in some way, shape, or form. There was an editorial I did last week where I said, for every single person who said, I won't support the team as long as they have their old name, it was time for you to put up or shut up now. And I did. I wrote in there in the editorial that I was going to give them money and not even expect anything from it, just to give it to them. And I did that. And then the merchandise came out, and I bought one of the screen printed jerseys, one of the black ones actually, and that was another bunch of money that I gave them. So I'm one of the leading sponsors of this team right now for the last couple weeks. So I expect to see my brand, my name, put my logo on the ice.
Owen must be rolling in dough, just giving it out left and right, like making it rain.
That's the thing as well. I make media money, so this is a hard sort of give to ask of me, but I did it anyway because I was critical behind the scenes. I'll admit it. When I was on the board, I was critical of the name. I said the time will come in the future where you have to. You can either control the narrative, or it can be you can have it control you. And they made the decision. That's the thing, which I'm very proud of for the board. They made that decision. They saw the long-term vision, and I'd like to say it was all for because of the name was problematic. But part of my rationale was as well is you can't make money off it. We were using the old Chicago Blackhawks brand essentially, so you couldn't make real money off it. This, I think they're going to make a lot of money off of, and not just me, but a lot of other people in and around Neepawa. I think are going to be calling up and saying, "Hey, where can I get this new merch?" And you can. There is information in the in this week's paper where you can find out how you can get it. You can find information online as well. And again, if you don't find it online, if you don't have access to online, I'll even just give us a call here at the newspaper and we'll point you in the right direction. Normally, I don't cheerlead as much as I am right now, but this means something. Like, get behind the team in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's buying a hat, buying a t-shirt, going to the games when games become a thing again. This is an expensive endeavor. It's going to segue actually into our next story we're going to cover, because they had to pay. They didn't just go to somebody at the high school and say, all right, draw this. They got a professional graphic designer to come up with this entire concept. And wow, you can tell. When a pro comes up and starts doing it, you can tell the difference. And that pro was leading into our next story. Brooks Freeman of Freeman Graphic Design, based out of Virden, Manitoba, did this entire design. If you're unfamiliar with Brooks, he has done some work that you might be familiar with. He helped with the updating of the Dauphin Kings crown logo that they use now. He has done a lot of work for the Virden Oil Capitals as well, designed third jerseys for them and been able to do things like that. He has done things for ECHL teams like the South Carolina Stingrays, for example. He's done things for Western League teams like the Prince Albert Raiders as well. So this though is the first complete and utter from scratch redesign he has done for any team. Most of them have been sort of new logos or updates to old logos that he's done. So this was his first opportunity at a complete and utter redesign, and he just jumped at the opportunity. I had an opportunity to speak with him over email to talk about some of his experiences, the whole process of working with the Neepawa Titans board to come up with the concept, come up with the design, and just how it flowed from there. It's really kind of interesting. I thought it was fascinating, but I'm into that sort of thing. I don't have hobbies, no, so it interested me. But I hope you'll find some sort of interesting perspective on it as well. And definitely, it's a lot of fun to sort of finally see some energy and some excitement in Neepawa surrounding the team. And hopefully a couple wins will come their way as well. Anything else you want to throw in, Kira?
No, I think you covered it well. We couldn't get you to stop talking, so no, you did good. No, but yeah, I'm excited about the new brand. It's kind of, it's always kind of cool when something new and fresh comes in, and you get to see how that develops. And it's the same team that has existed for 30-some years. 32 years. But it's a brand new face to it, and hopefully it'll get some more excitement to it as well. Because sometimes when something doesn't change for a really long time, it's just you take it for granted. It's there. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot we had an MJHL team. That's right. But this is going to get people excited. It's going to get more attention on them. So that's really good for them.
That's right. All right, let's talk about something other than hockey and merchandise and branding and cool colors. But let's talk about something that is equally, if not more cool. An individual you had an opportunity, Kira, to do an interview with.
Her name is Annie Gladden, and the reason that I spoke to her is because she's turning 100 this month. And it's really exciting to have another centenarian in town. We've had a few stories on people turning 100 in the past few years. Most recent one, I believe, was Alf Newton, who was a veteran, and he had a big flyover with a plane and stuff. It was pretty exciting. Unfortunately, the timing with her birthday means that she can't have friends over. She can't have a party. She can't really do much for her birthday this year. But I wanted to have one way to make it special by letting the community know and letting people know that this is a big birthday for Annie. And she's had a pretty cool life. I have a few of her different life experiences. She's met some really famous people. She's gone all over the world. She's done a lot of different things. And so I definitely wanted to kind of highlight what she's done in her 100 years of life and help or let people help her celebrate. I do include her address in the paper here because I'm hoping that people will send her cards and letters and wish her happy birthday. Obviously, because we can't do something like a parade or go and visit her or anything like that. So I do hope that she gets a few correspondence from that and that she does feel special on her 100th birthday, because that is a very special birthday.
That's right. And what I thought was really there was a couple things, Kira, in your story that were fascinating. I like the fact that, again, and how do I phrase this nicely? When you're 100, you have a certain expectation of what 100 years old is, but apparently she exceeds those. She's still out and about. She is still, very active.
Yeah, she lives on her own. She's still baking. She still does knitting and waters her plants. She has a little bit of an indoor garden now. She used to have a big garden. She actually only moved into the Yellowhead Manor, the seniors apartment complex, just this past year. She'd been living in the home that she had lived in for 60-some years. Up until just this past year, she had been living on her own there, completely independent. She can still do pretty much anything she wants to herself. And that's really impressive for 100 years old. She is doing really good, which is really cool to see.
Oh yeah, no, it is very impressive to sort of see. And some of the stories she had to share. That's such a life. Meeting somebody like Princess Diana. I don't want to spoil too much from this here. You have to check out the story. But being able to meet an individual like that, and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, I know,
even
right?
More so.
So cool.
Those are some of the stories you can find in this article, and you can find that on page 2. It's our teaser on the front page as well. Really fun, interesting individual. And just, wow, it's great to be able to share these types of stories in a small paper like this.
Yeah, and it's cool because she was very, very humble about it. She was almost shy to be sharing some of these stories. I had talked to her daughter, Carol Koski, who had told me a little tidbits of okay, this is something notable, this is something notable. So I had something to go on to ask her questions, but I had to ask her very specific questions because she's really not one to brag, but she is very talkative, very friendly. It was great to be able to have a chat with her, so I was glad to be able to get on the phone with her. I only wish that I could have actually visited her in person to do the interview, but obviously with COVID, you can't really go to to people's houses. So
Yeah, that's true. We're still sort of stuck in this situation. We're dealing with it as best we can. So, but it's great any way that we can sort of help to celebrate something like this. We love to be able to participate. Before we go on to our next story, one other thing I almost forgot to talk about, if you're a consistent watcher of NAC TV, and of course the Bigger Bingo, you know this already, that we have had a big winner in the Toonie jackpot. And that is just across from this story, on page 3, our travel and entertainment. An individual, Lorraine Cavers, is how I believe it's pronounced. She won the big Toonie prize of $11,468. Congratulations to her. And that Looney jackpot had been going on a lot longer than I thought it had been.
I didn't realize this, but when Leeway checked back on the records, she said it has been growing since October of 2019. It's the time that was won before that, I guess it was a few $100, but now it's just been growing since then, and that's how it got to like $11,000. It's crazy.
Wow, congratulations to her on that. And that's the thing, the Bigger Bingo has literally lived up to its name. Over the last few years, it has really grown into something substantial for NAC TV, and just a lot of fun for the community, for people who participate.
Yeah, people love it here. It's great to see.
Yep. I know somebody who every week, if she's not working, she's playing the bingo, enjoys it immensely, has won it in the past. She was a little darn on not winning the Toonie one, but you know, you got to share the wealth sometimes.
It's better than nothing if you can win something, right?
That's true. That's true. Let's get back into some of the stories we got on the pages of this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. Here's a story that was put together by Casper Warehan, talking to some of the students over in Gladstone. And a very interesting little project they put together. We got an email sent to us sharing some of the details. And Casper took this story and just ran with it and was able to do a very good job of sort of talking to us about the William Morton Collegiate Institute and its, what's it called? A hunting blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I got to admit, it's been a while since I've been out in nature, hunting for food. But I didn't sort of understand what the hunting blind was, but essentially it's just sort of a mobile sort of station where you can sort of set up camp out in the woods while you're doing your hunting and whatnot. And you can see the picture on page 10. It's like, wow, it's fully insulated. It looks pretty darn comfortable, actually.
Yeah. Like I could see people actually camping in it. I mean, it doesn't have beds in it. It's got like benches, but they look like cushy benches, so you can probably sleep on those. But yeah, it's insulated. They've got a wood stove in there for if you wanted to go out in the wintertime. They have a spot in the floor that you can take out for ice fishing. They've got a barbecue attached to it. Yep. Like it is, they call it the luxury hunting blind, and it is indeed luxurious.
It is, exactly. I mean, even though it's called a hunting blind, you can also use it for ice fishing as well, which is a lot of fun. And like they did a tremendous job of that. And it's good to see that the classes are thinking outside of the box, as it were. Sometimes, when it comes to construction projects and semester-long projects, it's all the same old stuff. But they decided to take something and sort of tweak it a little bit, and that's what they did with this. And it came out unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And as I was reading the story, I wondered, so who's going to get to take this home? Which one of the shop's class students gets to keep it? Like, who's the big winner or whatever? But I guess they're actually raffling it off. And what they earn from the raffle goes to help pay for the project itself and for future projects in the shops class, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that was kind of a little behind the scenes of how they actually pay for some of those projects.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
All right. Now, let's shift over a little further down the way into the paper. Coming back to Neepawa, over the last 15 months, COVID-19 has really created a lot of uncertainty for businesses, not just here in Neepawa, but globally. But something unusual and a little unexpected has occurred here in Neepawa. There was a recent Neepawan area business survey done that was in conjunction with Neepawa's Economic Development Officer, Marilyn Crew, as well as the Neepawan District Chamber of Commerce. They went out there, they put a survey out there asking for perspectives from local businesses on their future outlook. And surprisingly, their outlook is a lot sunnier than you may have expected. They're seeing a lot of positivity. They're seeing a lot of potential in how the rest of 2021 could play out. For the first time in I think it was about 4 or 5 years, none of the businesses said they had any plans on downsizing in terms of either employees or just the business model in general. And that's the first time that's happened in several years, which is very nice to see, I thought.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's really cool. It's really neat because I know that it has been really hard for people, and we have heard the occasional, oh, this is terrible for businesses. I can't believe that all of the local businesses are getting the short end of the stick on all of these restrictions and stuff like that. And it does affect them a lot more than it affects certain individual people. Like, for example, myself, it doesn't affect me that much because I don't go out and do much. But for the businesses, it does, especially if they have to be closed or they have to limit the amount of people that can come in. Or they have to limit what they can sell, right? So it's really good to see that there is that light at the end of the tunnel. They are hoping that it will get better. And I mean, being at the low point that we're at, I would hope that everybody would think it's going to get better than this. Yeah. It's not going to get worse. But it is good to see because we have heard tell of some businesses in other communities that have had to close completely because they just didn't have the money to keep open and they won't be able to reopen again afterwards, which is terrible to see. But with the optimism in Neepawa, it just goes to show that when things get tough, the community really pulls together and they really do want to support the local businesses and help them make sure that they can get through this.
What was interesting as well, when we dive into the actual numbers of the survey, the percentage of businesses that said that not only were they not planning on letting any people go or downsizing, but actually exploring expansion and growth and hiring of more individuals. In 2020, that number was around 12%. In around this time of the year, that's understandable. There was a lot of uncertainty. Even though the numbers were less for COVID at this point in time, we still didn't know what the heck was going on. And that sort of, I think, probably impacted it. But now, a year later, it's gone from 12% up to 36% of businesses that responded are looking at expansion, are looking at additional hiring. And actually, I misspoke there. Business expansion is a different number entirely. It's from 25% last year to 43% this year. So that's another positive. It's not sort of the same. I mean, it tripled. Employee hiring pretty much tripled from one year to the other. But this is still a very good number that they can build off of. Yeah. So I had an opportunity. I spoke with Marilyn Crew about that. She walked me through some of the details, walked me through some of the numbers on that. It is appreciative, and it's great to sort of hear about that positivity. We always want to sort of put a relatively positive spin on things. We want to tell you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it. But it's more fun for us to be able to share the positives, and I'm sure it's more fun for you to be able to read about the positives. So we're glad that this is maybe an example of that this time out. Yeah. I want to talk next, Kira, and you actually grabbed all these pictures. I was just coming back from a meeting and I looked across at the court building. It was like there was a bunch of kids just scribbling all over the sidewalk, and it was like, oh geez, I gotta run and grab a camera. But you stepped up and you were able to get some of pictures and some information on this, weren't you?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. When you say, oh, there was those kids, they were scribbling on the sidewalk, those darn dirty kids, always messing everything up.
Wait a minute, I did not imply that, I swear. I did not go full get off my lawn
Get
there.
off my lawn, you whippersnappers.
They don't think things the way they used to, don't you know?
Those darn clouds, I can't believe that. But no, it was really good to see. Unfortunately, it was like one of the hottest days of the year so far, but they were there in the morning around 10 or 11, so it wasn't quite as hot as it was going to get, which was good timing. But grade 6 students from Neepawa Middle School, they were out and about. I guess they were all over town. I only saw the ones that were near the county court building and the Home Hardware on Hamilton Street there. That was Miss Freeman's class, and they got lucky because they were closest to us, so we got to take pictures of them. But they were making interactive art on the sidewalk. So they were told to draw out their plan and then figure out how they were going to become part of the picture. So one kid drew a helicopter, and he was going to lie on the sidewalk and be skydiving from the helicopter. One kid drew an airplane, and he would sit kind of make a sitting shape on the sidewalk so that from above it would look like he's sitting in the plane. It was really cool to see what all these kids came up with, and I only wish that we had more space that I could share more of the different pictures and more of the different angles and things that the kids had been working on, because they did a really good job on that and they worked really hard on it. So and I also wish that I could have seen the other classes as well, because I believe there's 3 grade 6 classes in middle school. But yeah, it was really cool to see, and I was glad we had a little bit of space to share to put that on there.
But kudos to them as well, especially on that day, the 6th there. I think it was the 6th.
I don't know.
But maybe the 4th?
4th. Yeah, it was the 4th because it was grade 6.
All these days are starting to blend together. It's just so warm.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, it was so warm out there. But kids are hardy.
Oh, yeah.
They can deal with stuff that old timers like me is just like, no.
They were probably just happy not to be sitting at a desk for a while.
Yeah. We got a little bit of time, so we're going to cover one last thing before we call it a day here at the Story Behind the Stories. Ken Waddell every week has his column right in the center. This week he focuses on negativity and positivity in a way. We receive letters. We've received a lot of letters as of late, and we try and get as many of them in as we can. The decision was made. He decided he didn't want to post a certain letter though, because he thought it was a little too rude. And we want your opinions, but we want sort of to be able to share your opinions as well. And there are certain restrictions. You know, you can't be insulting people in certain types of ways, and you can't be spouting off in certain types of ways as well. And he talks about, he uses Leonard Paramore, who writes on a regular basis, as a good example. He says, Leonard and I disagree on a few things, but we agree on a lot of other things. So, and he always backs it up. He doesn't take personal shots, and if he does, it's in a lighthearted tone. It's a banter back and forth. So that's what Ken's editorial this week focused on. So if you were curious about what that was all about, that's the background for it. So yeah.
I personally, I wanted to run the letter just because
I found
it entertaining.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like calling out and yelling and calling names and stuff, but sometimes that's kind of fun to watch. And Ken is our boss, we know he can take it, so that's entertaining, but we also don't want to encourage people to be sending letters like that, right? So I understand why he didn't want to run that.
But we still love to be able to receive your letters and your comments and your thumbs up. If you want to be able to send those to us, get in touch with us by contacting us at news@neepawabanner.com or by the phone, 476-3401. We appreciate any news suggestions you have, any letters, any thumbs up. Anything that makes our jobs easier, we do appreciate it much.
Always.
Now, as well, if you want to do advertising, you contact us via ads@neepawabanner.com. That's what keeps the doors open. That's what allows me to buy fancy sweaters. as opposed to, you know, retirement fund. Let future Eoin worry about that.
You can auction off your jerseys if you need to, I guess.
Thank you, eBay. And as always, we thank you for taking a little bit. Well, first off, thank you, Kira, for, you know, as usual, sort of putting in the effort. Yep. And thank you as well for taking some time and sharing with us these stories behind the stories. Have a good week.